Good morning, everyone, and welcome to County Executive Pittman's virtual press conference. This morning, the County Executive will share updates on the election, COVID boosters, and state grant funds for the Glen Burnie Town Center Revitalization Project. County Executive will be joined by Health Officer Dr. Colleen Armin, County Council Member Allison Pickard, and Arundel Economic Development Corporation Interim CEO Jill Seaman. We'll take questions after remarks. As a reminder, please put your name and media affiliation in the chat, and I'll call on folks for questions in that order. And please keep your microphone and camera off unless you're called upon to ask a question. With that, Mr. County Executive.
All right, thank you, Jeff, and thank you everybody for joining us. I know it's hard to get attention on anything that the government is doing other than elections during election season. And the only thing that I will say about the election is that it's time for folks to vote. You know, we're the best place for all. We say it's our county slogan, and we want to make sure that that for all includes everybody in the voting process in our democracy. So people are already doing mail-in ballots, of course. Early voting is starting on Thursday, and it's going to be open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. at our early voting centers. There are 9 of them across Anne Arundel County. Very quickly, we have the Odenton Library, the Gladys Green Banquet Hall, the Severna Park Library, the Pitt Moyer Recreation Center, the Edgewater Library, the Crofton Library, the Anne Arundel County Board of Elections, Laurel Racetrack, and Deal Elks Lodge. So I want to thank the Board of Elections for being creative about where they go for these, because it's a lot of time to be open. They're open for a week from November 3rd to the following from October 27th, this Thursday through the following Thursday, November 3rd. And it's a real commitment of these organizations to make themselves available to the public to vote during that time. But I also just want to note that you do not have to be registered to go in and vote at the early voting locations. You can register on site. You can bring a driver's license. You can bring a utility bill, a bank statement, any government document, change of address card, paycheck. Maryland has really worked hard to try to make it easier for people to vote so that we can increase participation in the process. So please, everyone, make a plan to vote. Oh, and there's a website that you can go to at aacounty.org/vote. And it's got all the information that you need about the timing, the process, the locations, and how to find your polling place on election day, which is November 8th. So I want to jump over to a topic that we have talked a lot about in the past and not as much recently, which is COVID-19. And we do have our health officer here with an update. But I just want to say that, this is still a deadly virus. And we are still losing our neighbors to this virus. We have lost 1,173 so far. Our county has done well. Our residents have done well in combating this virus and getting vaccinated. We have 88% of our residents have gotten their first dose, 78% a full series, a second dose. But we do have new vaccines that are more effective against the most recent variants, and we cannot let our guard down. We want to protect our residents from this virus. So I'm going to pass it over to Dr. Colleen Armin, and then when we're done with that, we have a good announcement about a new grant that is going to help a part of our county. We'll get to that right after Dr. K.
Thank you, County Executive. I do want to talk about the COVID boosters. I think it's really important for folks to know that we have a new updated booster. It is not the same COVID vaccine as what we have been getting for the past year and a half plus. It's got additional protection against Omicron. And that's really important to know because we've heard from a lot of folks who are not sure what's the difference now. Well, the difference is that this updated booster has that Omicron protection. And so if you got any booster or even your primary series prior to September, you got the old version of the vaccine. And so we do want you to get that new updated booster if it's been at least 2 months since you received either your final dose of that primary series or the original booster. So we get a lot of questions from folks. I got my booster in August. I got my booster in July. Do I still need to get this new updated booster? And the answer is yes. Yes, you do. And that's particularly important as we're heading into the cold winter months. We expect that we're going to see higher numbers of COVID cases. And just like we do with the seasonal flu vaccine, think of this as your seasonal COVID vaccine. So go out and get it. I've gotten it. I know the county executive's gotten it. It's safe, it's easy to get, and it's available for anybody 5 and older. The CDC just expanded eligibility for this to the 5-year-old, down to 5 years old. So it's really important that we do this. And if you haven't gotten your primary vaccine series, it's never too late. You can get that as well. So with that, I will turn it back over to you, County Executive.
Thanks, Dr. Colleen Armin. And I got mine the same day that Dr. K got his. And I think our school superintendent got it that day. Our mayor got it that day. And I can say that I was, I missed not a single meeting. I think I could feel that I felt a little different, but I did not feel down and I did not slow down. And I think, for people who it impacts everybody differently, but absolutely worth the time to go out and get that done. So I am thrilled to have with me Councilwoman Allison Pickard, who represents the Glen Burnie area of Anne Arundel County. And I would say that Councilwoman Pickard is exactly what Glen Burnie has needed, came in with a vision, drove me around and showed me what needed to get done in Glen Burnie to revitalize that community, revitalize that town center, do redevelopment where there's existing infrastructure that needed a facelift, pull together a community revitalization group that put together a plan for revitalization of that area. And we're starting to see the progress being made there. But we just got news that our Economic Development Corporation, Anne Arundel Economic Development, is getting a $250,000 grant from the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development, the Community Legacy Program. And some of the ideas that the Community Revitalization Group came up with were fairly simple and inexpensive and are going to be funded by this grant. So new signage that really gives you a taste of what Glen Burnie is about and a new image for Glen Burnie, improvements to the B&A trailhead and installation of public art. So I know I'm thrilled. I know Councilwoman Pickard is thrilled, but I'd love her to say a few words about what this means.
Thank you, County Executive. This is a really exciting day. The task force, which I have affectionately called GRIT, the Glen Burnie Revitalization Implementation Task Force, was key to highlighting some things that needed to be done in order to attract private investment in the town center. And I'm grateful to Wes McQuillam and Kristen Etzel and Senator Beidel and the Deputy Secretary of Department of Housing and Community Development and your team, Stuart, to make this grant a reality. And we all think it's just the first of many public and private investments in the town center. It's a great day.
Thank you, Councilwoman. So I'll turn it back over to Jeff and take any questions about anything.
All right, with that, we'll open the floor for questions. As a reminder, please put your name and media affiliation in the chat if you've got a question. First up, John Frenay, Ion Annapolis.
Hi, this is for Dr. Colleen Armin. What do you have any thoughts or any comments? I've heard about this tridemic that they're talking about now with a combination of RSV, the flu, and COVID all sort of hitting at the same time. How are we positioned here in the county, and do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So what we're seeing is that we are seeing increased flu cases, increased RSV cases, particularly in children, and that's respiratory syncytial virus. And what we've seen is that for the past couple of years, there have been fewer than expected respiratory illnesses because of the masking, which is not happening in the same way anymore. And so we were actually just talking with our hospital partners yesterday. They are able to handle this volume, but they do want, and we do want people to also go get their flu shot. That will certainly help decrease the flu, particularly for children, but obviously for everyone. And also for parents to, if their kids are not getting better after a few days, take them to your primary care doctor. Try to get them treated early before they need emergency room care.
Okay, and just another follow-up there. And I think I know the answer to this, but there is no qualms or issues about getting the COVID vaccine as well, or the booster, as well as the flu vaccine at the same time? or is there?
You can absolutely get both the COVID booster and the flu shot at the same time. I did it. I know the county executive did it. It's fine. You know, a little soreness in both arms instead of just one arm.
Great. Thank you very much.
All right, next up, Ken Duffy, WBAL Radio.
Hi, this is for the county executive concerning the election. There's been a lot of talk nationally about potential violence surrounding the election and such. Is the county taking any steps to address that potential for any kind of violence at all concerning the election at polling places? Any kind of security measures, extra steps you're taking to address that at all?
Same as the last election, and we managed to get through 2020 without any violence. And so I don't think we expect it, but the police department is certainly prepared, and they have officers close by assigned to polling stations so that if there are calls, they can be there quickly.
Okay, thank you.
All right, next up, Janine Donaldson, WBAL TV.
Good morning. I wanted to also follow up on the trifecta of RSV COVID flu. For parents particularly who may have a sick kid, at what point do they need to go take them to the doctor? For flu, you know, it's just kind of rest in fluids. COVID, you might need to isolate them, but if it's RSV, maybe you need to take them to an urgent care. At what point should they start really getting concerned and take them in to the doctor?
That's a great question. If your child is able to take liquids or eat, that's really important. Making sure that if they're having trouble breathing or having fevers that won't go away after a few days, those are signs to certainly take them into the doctor or urgent care. And of course, if your child starts to get worse in any way, that's the right time to take them to get care.
All right, last call for questions. Again, name and media affiliation in the chat if you've got a question. All right, thanks very much, everyone. See you soon.